County, where two men with one show and a Facebook Live fight corruption, fighting those that hurt the county. Starring David Marshburn as Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Joe Preston as Bill Clinton.
Hey everyone, Bill Clinton here. It is what it is. That depends on what the definition of is.
Welcome to the Dave and Joe Show.
Okay, I'm just going to check to make sure we have sound. Do you have me? Is my mic on?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I hear sound. Woo!
I hear that a lot.
Okay. So Joe Preston here, along with David Marshburn, and we're going to do a different kind of show. Okay. All right, yeah.
I hear you.
He can hear me. So Joe Preston here. So we're going to do a different kind of show here tonight, as we tried to start out with, an hour ago, a little over an hour ago, and apologize for the technical difficulties. Something was going on with the sound. Nobody could hear us. If you could make sure, send us something that you can hear us, we would appreciate it.
Power went out last night here, or flickered or whatever, and it just took out the soundboard.
So we're going to talk about a case of a child disappearance in Tennessee. A young boy named Joe Clyde Daniels, and that was back in 2018. And David did some work on that, and we are going to talk about that a little bit tonight. I'm not the expert at all. I'm just a average Joe, basically, looking at this, and going to give my side of what I've researched on it and what it seems like to me, and have David, pretty much run this one. David, can you turn my mic up a little bit? I can't hear myself that well. So, let's, since we're so late and we really apologize. I hate it when we have technical difficulties. I know we probably lost some viewers on that, but
it'll be a shorter show.
We're doing the best we can here. So,
right.
David, go ahead.
All right, so Joe Clyde Daniels went missing on 4/3/2018 or 4/4/2018, either which one you want to go with. But it was the late night 4/3 or early morning 4/4. So everybody knows about this case that, I went to look for him, and I pretty much thought the mom and dad had to have something to do with this. They just had to.
Which is typical.
And so as I got digging into it, I found out that there's more variables to this whole situation. There's a witness who drove by, who has damage to their vehicle, who showed up the next morning, that very morning, to go back to work, and stopped and said, "Hey, are y'all looking for a guy who was in skeleton pajamas, had skeleton on their chest?" Well, that's kind of odd, because you don't really see that quickly when you're riding down the road in the dark. Also, we have a curious and kind of mysterious neighbor who did not want to give up their cell phone or anything like that, and supposedly was with a sex offender in Nashville, a female. So that's kind of strange and odd. Then you've got several people who have said they saw Crystal and Joe, and
Crystal's the mom, Joe is the father.
Right. So basically, they get Joe in a room and question him and question him and question him for hours and hours. And finally they said, "You know what? You tell us the truth, you'll walk right out that door." And sure enough, you will walk right out that door in handcuffs when you tell them what they want to hear. And that's the problem with this case. Now, Joe has not seen everything on this case, but he's going to work over the holiday weekend or holidays. He's a school teacher, so he's going to look over it and watch some of the videos in between his recreation time. And then he's going to give us his honest opinion. But what I wanted him to look at was, Joe, look at this case, open up some files, look at the videos, and tell me what you think about it. And let's just have some discussion about it tonight, not within deep detail, but, basically bounce some things off of me with what you thought was strange, weird. And I know you think the family's really weird. Not the grandparents and all, but, the mom and dad, the ones you've seen. And how oddball they could be, Mm-hmm. So give me some of the things that you saw in this case, whether it was before trial, after trial. It doesn't matter. I just want you to give me a rundown of what you see.
Well, all I've had available to me is, what's available on Google, basically. And there were a couple things that stood out. One of the big things was, we still have not found the body. And they did dig just last year on the property line and found, I believe, 26 bones. But you said those ended up just being like dog bones that, whatever dog they had hidden them. They were not human remains. Mm-hmm. The interrogation part 1 that I watched did seem like, and I think we might watch some of that tonight. The gentleman, the father, Joe Daniels, seemed to be very cooperative. He seemed honest to me. And they were at him for about 2 hours, and then 2 hours later, he's got his sweatshirt off, and then the detective that really gets, really close and personal with him seems to try to lead him into what he's, needs to say. The whole thing about, they said that the son they found out was, well, first off, we have to talk about the son. The son was, I believe, 5 years old, autistic and nonverbal. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of things that, come with that. And I guess he peed on the floor. Well, detectives went in and pulled up that floor and didn't find any evidence of pee. Mm-hmm. They're wondering if there was bleach on the floor to maybe cover it up, but there was no evidence of urine in the carpet or whatever it was that he was peeing on.
Have you ever seen what bleach does to carpet?
Yeah, typically will change color.
Mm-hmm.
But so that was a little speculative to me. The weird things that stood out was the 11-year-old son, which I guess back then would have been, I guess 7 or 8,
and he might have been 11 at the time. I can't remember. I think he was 11 at the time.
He was 11 at the time. Okay. Yeah. Well, he has had a couple stories, but one of the stories he said was that he saw his dad over the son's, his younger brother, his dad's son's body. There's just a lot of changed stories throughout this entire process. So supposedly there's another man that was involved. There's the mother, who I guess was wanting to leave, and she needed $1,200 in child support to leave. And so that was part of the prosecution's case, that he killed the son out of spite so that they couldn't get the child support. Just a lot of I don't know. It's a. I definitely don't have an opinion on the matter yet, but it definitely doesn't seem like it's a closed case at all. I will say the father was not convicted of first-degree murder. That was the one charge he was not convicted of, but he was convicted on, I believe, 4 other charges, second-degree murder, and other things that followed after that, and is currently in prison. Now, I believe that David does not believe this man is guilty, but I don't know that for a fact. There's a lot of holes in this story, and even the local news was saying the prosecution did not prove the case. There's definitely reasonable doubt within it, and I hope that we can maybe shed some light on this for people to be able to make their own conclusions and opinions on it.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so not finding the body. Reason why we're not finding the body, one, they say he's in the landfill. That Lil Joe's in the landfill. That's easy to say, especially when you're not going to go search that landfill and not find him. Because if you don't find him, now he's got something to appeal to. Also, why did it never come up that the SBI agents or the TBI agents themselves did not even believe his confession after several months of him being in jail, or years, Yeah,
one of the things I read was he was polygraphed on his confession, and he failed the polygraph. And I think when we watch the first part of this interrogation, I think you'll find that he seems believable until 2 hours in. Like, he's very open. He's sitting there with a sweatshirt on, and then 2 hours later he takes the sweatshirt off, which I'm guessing that means they turn the heat up in the room. And then he's sitting there, and at that point is when he kind of starts to break down, and the detective gets closer to him and seems to lead him into trying to get him to say what he wants him to say. That's what it looked like to me, but I don't know. I mean, this guy could be guilty of sin. I don't know. But just from a outsider's perspective, it kind of looks like he was led into saying what he said.
He was definitely led in. I'm trying to find it right now where, now I'll just mention this. I won't try and find the videos right now. We'll get into that after, this episode, but okay. So everything that Joseph said, he said, let me get my notes here. He repeatedly said, I went to bed and I woke up at 11:30.
11:30.
Put Joe back to bed because he peed on the floor. Now, the pee on the floor, there's 2 doors that go to the bedroom, okay? And in that hall, in that entranceway, is where he supposedly peed on the floor. But yet, Joseph himself says, I noticed the bathroom light was on.
And the coffee table was moved.
And the coffee table was slightly moved, okay? So when law enforcement go in there, it's still there. It's still moved. It's still twisted a little bit, turned. So, but I have a feeling the coffee table has nothing to do with this. I have a feeling that Crystal left, or Joe left the lock off the door and didn't think he was going to get up in the middle of the night and go outside. But after 11:30, he went back to bed.
Well, you got to give context on that. The reason the coffee table, it becomes a point, is because the coffee table had wheels on it, and that's how a 5-year-old autistic nonverbal child could move the table. And they were saying he was doing that so that he could stand up to unlock the door.
But does he move it and then put it right back?
Well, if he left, no, he wouldn't have done that.
That's right.
But one of the parents could have.
All right, detective, are we out of the master bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Where are we now?
This is going to be the living room.
And what do you see where are we now?
This is going to be the living room.
I'm gonna bring the coffee table up. I know I did, it was just real loud right then. I'm gonna bring this coffee table up so that way you and I can look at this. Okay, we can have a little bit of discussion on it. I know it's getting kind of late, but if you look at this coffee table, what do you notice about this coffee table?
Well, if there are wheels on it, I don't see that.
There are. I mean, you see how it's lifted up
I mean,
at the bottom.
maybe. There's a bottle on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's toys on it.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like maybe some clothes or a towel or something.
Correct. Okay, so little Joe, let's go back and take this in context. So Big Joe says at 5:30 he woke up that morning. Woke up. And he was going to get little Joe and get him ready for school. Because the 11-year-old gets himself ready for school. Little Joe normally wears jeans and a plaid shirt, socks, shoes, whatever. In this, you can see the plaid shirt, the rolled up socks, and the partly folded up jeans. Those are new clothes.
Can you go back to that picture real quick?
Okay.
And I don't mean to bring this into it.
Mm-hmm.
But is that Ronald Johnson on the left?
No. Same haircut, basically.
God, it looks like Ronald Johnson. I mean, doesn't it look like Ronald Johnson?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right, go on.
But anyway, so if you take it into context, why, if the daddy got up at 11:30 at night, beat the child till he died, why would you get up the next morning at 5:30 and get his clothes and then go to the bedroom?
Well, devil's advocate would say to set a good scene for when the cops come.
Do you honestly think Joe is that smart to do that?
I mean, from what I've seen, no. But, I mean, that would be the argument that I think could easily be made.
Well, I think he set him down on
And but that's the premeditation type of thing. And he was not found guilty of first degree.
But you know what I find strange here is, okay, so the clothes are here on the table. There's a little truck. There's a baby bottle.
That's 3/4 empty.
Right. There's a toy on the floor near the officer's feet, and there's another toy or something right there by the coffee table. When officers first go in this house, that stuff's not there except for the clothes. You know? So why are you allowing people to disturb the area? But the clothes have always been there. Now, could he have thrown the clothes up on the table and then move the coffee table over and then go and get Joe? More than likely. The 11-year-old boy, he talks about, oh, by the way, before I get off this topic, at 5:30, Joe says he gets up. He actually gets up a little bit earlier than that. But when you watch him leave the house the very first time on camera, he comes out of the driveway, goes down the driveway, stops, turns right, and comes by the camera. Very slow. All the way. Very slow. He goes all the way down the road, turns right, turns right, turns right, comes all the way back around, right back to the house, and drives back up the driveway real slowly. If you have a dead body in the car, are you going to drive that slow? Why would you drive slow? If you have a missing child, why do you drive slow?
Well, why would you drive slow anyways and go around the house and come back to the house? Is he looking for something?
Probably little Joe. And see, that's something I can never get rid of out of my head is when.
Well, why don't you tell people what your relationship is with this case? They might not all know.
My relationship is the grandparents called me and said, "Hey, David, can you come help us?" And I said, "Well, I can, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking straight at your son and your daughter-in-law. Bottom line."
What do the grandparents think?
They don't believe it. They don't believe Joe would have done anything, or Crystal, matter of fact. They have no idea. They just know that little Joe has gotten out before and has run off. And normally, he'll go to the neighbors behind him. Now, when the dogs go to searching and they go to a pond and they alert on the pond, I'd say 90% of cadaver dogs will hit on a pond, a body of water, due to the fact there's algae, certain algae that grows that is the same as decomposition of a body. So they're going to falsely alert. But yet they took this as gold. And when they first arrived at the scene, they treated it as a homicide, and it was the parents that were guilty from the very start.
But that's typical. I mean, because most cases like this, I mean, just from, me watching true crime and listening to podcasts and other things like, Dateline NBC and other things like that, like other regular average Joes do, it's typically the family or a close relative or a guardian or something are the ones that are guilty of these crimes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and when you look at Crystal and look at Joe, I mean, be honest, what's your opinion? Go ahead. It's not going to insult the grandparents. The grandparents already know he's a dumbass.
I'm not going to say what I really want to say, but I mean, they're just, it's obviously not the best of situations is all I'm going to say.
Well, the grandparents were trying to help them. And, even Big Joe has said, my son is a dumbass.
I mean, if we look at, for the Johnson County residents, look at the JOCO report, and you see the mugshots, just picture those type of people.
Yeah.
Look
at Crystal. She looked like a dude.
Yeah,
I thought that was the daddy at first.
I thought it was the 11-year-old son at one point that was older.
Dang.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to pick on the people, but
I'm just giving you my honest. When I first saw it, I was like, "Is that the 11-year-old son?" And that's the mom.
And how do you think the prosecution and the TBI and all the other ones said, "Hey, how do we get this news media off our back?"
Yeah, no, but this was in Tennessee. That's why he's saying TBI. So the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
I used to think highly of them until this.
But I wish we could play some of that video of that interrogation because
we can.
You
want to play the first part, or
just that, not just that bit that we watched. Maybe skip through some of it, but
okay. Let me go to it. Let me find it.
I think it would help people kind of see. And I said this earlier when people weren't able to hear us, but I wanted to congratulate all the teachers and students and faculty of schools for being on break.
Okay.
because I know I'm excited about it.
You're excited?
I get to sleep a little bit.
Oh, boy. Let's see. You want to start at the beginning or?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. And if it's not loud enough, let me know. No, I don't think do closed catch. I don't think it'll pick it up, but I'll try it.
And you go by Joe or Joe? Joe. Joe? Okay. Yeah, it'll open. I'm not gonna be sure. I'm just gonna close this for privacy.
Okay. I'm just, I got all sorts of emotions and.
Yeah, I know there's a lot going on, and we're gonna talk for a while before we get into this, okay? And try to explain all this to you, and with Joe, I know he told you, but I'm Ronnie Palmer, I'm a special agent for TBI.
Okay.
And,
Now notice the time, 3:08.
Yeah, 3:08
p.m. And as you've seen, there's a lot of
Sweatshirt
people out
on.
there trying to help find, and y'all call him Little Joe?
Baby Joe, Little Joe, just,
Okay.
it just depends on, our mood sometimes. Like, hey, Baby Joe, come here. Hello, Joe. Hey, Joe.
So, since you're Joe, I heard a lot of people call him Little Joe. Is it okay if we refer to him as Little Joe? We'll
Yeah,
know what I'm talking
yeah.
about then, right? Okay, all right. I've got, as we're talking, Joe, you've seen me filling out paperwork and stuff like that, and just try to ignore that.
So this is the good cop.
Do reports and stuff like that, so don't think.
Supposedly.
Something wrong, Joe. But, have you got any rest at all?
Well, I got some last night. The last 2 days, not really.
Just going.
Yeah, I was.
So this is on April
running on
6th,
adrenaline and
2
caffeine
days
most of the time,
after
trying to figure
he
out,
was reported
what
missing.
happened. My mom came down from Arkansas, and she's like, I'll stay up in the living room and get you guys up in case, anything comes up. So when I went to sleep, I was out. I didn't wake up at all. So then when I did wake up, I felt, a little better, and, I felt hopeless most of the day yesterday.
Yeah.
And I felt just, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a nervous person. So, there's a lot of stuff that has made me extremely nervous recently, like the fact that why would he do what he did?
You got that little Joe, right?
Yeah.
Running out or leaving the house.
Yeah, and people finding, just different things and different clues, and it's making me really nervous. Like, can they just please find him?
Yeah.
I just want to hear hey, they found footsteps or
something.
Yeah, or just something to let us know that he's still out there. So
Yeah. Well, Joe, I've been in law enforcement. If I make it to next week, I'll have 30 years in law enforcement. So I've been doing this a long time. I worked in a local agency for 21 years, and I've been with TBI for about 9 years now. So I've worked a lot of cases and helped a lot of people, worked a lot of missing child cases like this too, especially since I've been with TBI. And all that I was just trying to find out everything we can about what's going on, okay?
right, because I've been honest to everybody as much as possible. Like, I've tried to tell them, what I did when I woke up in the morning, and
Yeah. And I know there may be some little things that you don't exactly remember. It's
Okay.
The questions, Joe, but you know the reason you're here is this, of course, little Joe is missing, and he's been missing, this is the third day?
yeah, this is starting day 3. Yeah.
Wednesday morning, yeah, and then Thursday and today's Friday.
Sometime, between 1 and 5:30, he leaves, got out of the house. So,
Okay, okay.
just to know that, hey, there's, I'm sad.
Yeah, okay, all right. Joe, I know we talked a little bit about the night that Lou Joe, went missing. But just kind of give me a quick summary of what happened that night. Y'all, from what y'all said, y'all ate supper, got home, they got home from school, y'all ate supper, and about what time did it start, I guess, when he went to bed?
He went to bed about 8.
8, okay.
o'clock.
Yeah, early.
Yeah, and I got up at 10. I went to bed at 10. We woken up about 11:30. He had peed on the floor. But you know, I just put him back in the bed. He went back to sleep, and then I went to sleep. And now I didn't feel my wife get up. Well, she got up during the night to check on him, and she still was there. I got up that morning. I got his clothes and Alex's clothes. I went back there put the coffee table was moved. And I was thinking, okay, maybe he got up in the night and was playing with his toys or something like that. So I put the clothes on the table. I went in there and he was gone. He wasn't in the bed. I took the door, the lock was on the door, there was nowhere to be found. So I woke Crystal up. I woke Alex up. I woke my aunt up as well, but she just went back to sleep. Crystal got dressed. I got dressed. I went outside and looked around for a little bit. My neighbor's yard to see if he was over there, and I didn't go next door because I looked over there and I didn't see him next door. I went back in the house. Me and Alex went, and I took the car, went down the street a little bit, and turned back around. I got Alex and went around, and then I called my dad and said, hey, I can't find Joe. I called the police about 6:30, between 6:30 and 7, or like you said, 6:30, and then they came out, and I tried to search some more. I went down the road a little bit, and then I kept on going down the road to see if I could find him and see him. But I didn't see him.
Okay. And so you don't have any idea where he's at now?
No.
Okay. And the coffee table moved, you assume he moved that over there and got the door unlocked?
So what was really weird is where the coffee table was, it wasn't near the door. Normally it would be near the door, because usually that would happen, but it wasn't near the door, it was pushed back. And I thought that was really unusual for something like that to happen. So.
Okay. Would little Joe been able to physically move that table, you think?
It had wheels on it.
Okay, so he could have pushed it over there, unlocked it, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
He pushed it over there, climbed up, unlocked it, and then pushed it back out of the way,
Yeah.
opened the door. I mean, would that be tall enough if he stood on that coffee table to reach the lock?
Yes.
Okay. And had he ever tried to do that before or unlock the door?
Crystal told me before, she saw him try to unlock the door. He almost had the key in the lock trying to unlock the door when it was in a chair. I didn't see that, but she said that's what she saw.
Okay.
So, and then in the mornings, I would get him, you really don't think about this kind of stuff, but, I would have to kind of wiggle the key into the lock to unlock it. So I think he may have, I think he was watching me how to do that. So.
He could have done that.
Yeah.
Okay. So later 30s, when he had peed in the floor, all right, and you just put him back in the bed, y'all don't discipline or spank him or anything like that?
No, we just, I just said, hey, just
Kids thing.
Yeah.
Accidents happen.
Yeah, because, it is, I wasn't worried about that.
So you didn't get mad at him because he peed in the floor, okay?
No.
All right. And between that time when you went back to bed, so you didn't get up until 5:30?
Yeah.
So you didn't leave the house at all until after you found out he was missing, right? Okay. All right. So you didn't hurt Little Joe that night and didn't get mad at him for some reason?
No.
And,
All right, I'm going to stop that right there because, so, as y'all can see, Joe gives them an explanation. I got up. Well, at 11:30, he got up. Little Joe peed on the floor. He noticed the light on the bathroom was on, and then he went back to bed. He said Crystal got up later, checked on him, came back to bed. Now, that was probably hearsay because he was sleeping. He don't know. But about 5:30, he gets up and says that he noticed the coffee table was pushed up, but it wasn't near the door. And it seemed odd to him. And then he goes in there and notices that Little Joe's gone. So he goes and tries to wake Crystal up. Crystal's not getting up. So he goes out and looks for him a little bit. Says he goes over to the neighbor's house. When I said the back, I meant like across the street. When you go in this house, you go in the back door, and I'm calling that the front. I guess I should call it the back. Basically, you go out the back door, you go around the house, and you go down the driveway into the neighbor's house. That's where he was found several times before. That night, or that early morning, about 5:30, 6 o'clock, he was out looking him, and then he got in the car, went to look for him, and come back home and called 911.
Why was the boy found at the other house so many times? And why would he feel comfortable to walk to that house as an autistic?
He would run.
Verbal?
He would run. It's different how autistic people are. You got some autistic people that are nonverbal, that are very fast, and I mean, just.
I know that, but like, why was that? It seems like that was almost like his safe haven.
No, I mean, it was just something he did. It was, I mean, he never, I mean, you don't see bruises on him. You don't see black eyes on him. I mean, every picture you see, he's usually smiling, and he runs up to his mom and dad. I mean, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, if this child was fearing someone, then he wouldn't go to him at all, you know, if you watch him come off the school bus. But we'll get into that later, and I'll get into the details of what Joseph is saying here and what he actually does, and they've got proof of it, that's exactly what he did. But yet they don't count that. They dismiss that.
Well, go back to the video and skip forward to what is it? 5 hours and
so at
so he's sitting
4:03.
With his sweatshirt on,
now
very open,
right.
and then right here,
boom. At 5:06, they go. It's 4:50.
4:57.
So at 4:04, he's in his sweatshirt. They skip everything and go 4:57 or whatever it is. Skip on over during the trial, and then where do you want to be at? Where he breaks down?
Yeah, where the detective moves his chair and changes him around and.
Okay. He changes them around right here. And this is the TBI agent talking to him. All right, so
yeah,
right here.
Right here.
She does things to him, and stuff like that, so I know what I'm saying.
I don't know what to do there, okay, we gotta get past this,
So they
okay?
must
If
have
I
told
you, or you carry, you have to carry, or something, one of y'all's phone left that house and went to the back, and went somewhere, and we've got a pretty good idea where,
And
okay?
Joe, and I'm just saying that, we're not telling you everything, that's just a little bit that we're telling you, there's a lot of stuff, okay?
So,
But I'm not going to, I'm not gonna say, okay, that, because I'm not gonna tell you the things that we already know.
Because you don't know nothing.
So what I need, okay, we're a little bit closer, you told me that you didn't just go to sleep, right? You remember something else, somebody got in bed, the TV was on. All right, when Joe peed, little Joe peed, you went into that room, okay? Right?
right,
You went into the room, the bathroom light was on, you
right,
told him to get back in bed. I wanna know what really happened then.
that's
That's
what,
what I wanna
I
know,
didn't beat
what
him,
really happened.
I did not.
Who else was there in that room with you?
Alex.
Who was Alex?
Alex is Crystal's son, my stepson.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's a lot of things that aren't matching up. There's a lot of things, the reasons that we're asking you some of these questions are prompted by other stuff, okay? I'm not gonna tell you what those are, because this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to tell me the truth about that night. What I need answers for is all the other stuff that we found that is leading us to ask you these questions, that is putting us in this situation, and there's the reason that I'm talking to you now. I need the answers to those questions, and those questions, the big question mark is what really happened that night, and that's what you're not being honest with us about. You're not being honest from the time that he peed to the time that you say you realized he was gone.
You can see the nervousness where he's
I'm telling you,
But you're not, okay?
holding
And
his
again-
sweatshirt and playing with the sweatshirt, and you can see the nervousness.
Well, when he says, we know stuff, and he actually leans forward like, are you going to tell me? Because I want to find my son. You know? It's,
You keep telling me that, and it's kind of a little offensive to me.
I just want out.
Listen, Joe. One thing, there is no way on God's word that you can
Watch
climb
this.
up on something and unlock that lock, okay? He didn't do that.
This is a chance, okay? I know you want to make all this right. I know you do. I see that in you. I see that you're a good person.
We know that.
I see that you're a good person. But you have to continue.
he looks damn horrified.
I don't know if someone let him out.
I'm not concerned about letting him out. I want to know the whole story.
I'm telling you what I know, what I saw when I was there.
I want you to tell me everything you did, everything you saw, because you're not. I've seen, okay?
I'm telling you everything.
That's not the truth, Joe. That's not the truth. And you can say it over and over and over, and it doesn't make it the truth.
Because we're not going to believe
You know the truth is, okay? I need to know exactly what happened that night. I need to know what happened between you and Joe, you and little Joe, and what you saw. I'm not going to think anything of you.
No, I'm going to just put handcuffs on you, throw you in jail.
I want you to be that good person. And I want you to tell me the truth.
Well, what we
I want you
skipped
to be
over,
the
if you want to
person that
pause
I
this,
see in
is
you.
he gave him two options.
Oh, you want me to go back to that?
Yeah, he said there was only two options here. That one, he was either a perpetrator of children or he killed his son, basically.
Yep.
And those were the only two options. And that's why I said I felt like he was, leading him. Like there wasn't an option that he didn't
No, he
do
got
this.
absolutely only 2 options, and I'm trying to look for it.
That's right. Probably right about there.
Let's see.
When you're saying that about little Joe Ian, I believe that. But it's the stuff after that that I just can't believe. And the reason is, for me to believe that, that means, for you to tell me that, I think you're a better person, okay, than the person that would just say, I don't know what happened after that. Because there are certain things that you've left out in what you've told us. But let me preface that and say before that, I'm talking about an accident. I don't know if it, like Ronnie said, I don't know if it was an accident. But what I do know, okay, is that you know what happened.
That's
Now,
a read technique.
What that leads me to then do is to figure out, well, what do I think? And there's really only 2 thoughts I have. That's 2 ways I can go. Is that something happened with Joe, little Joe, and I'm pretty certain that's him peeing. And I think things probably got out of control. Things you may have lashed out. You may have not. Maybe you didn't realize what all was going on, but you ended up getting into a situation where you had a kind of a lapse of judgment, right? And you next thing you know, you're in a situation where your emotions have taken over and taken control, and you end up hurting little Joe. The other side of this is that you're and this is more of a predatorial person who is seeking out.
And notice he's shaking his head, yes.
I don't think that's you.
To what he's
I don't
saying.
see you as that person, and I never have. I don't want to believe that that's you. But when you leave stuff out and you don't tell me exactly what happened to it,
He's trying to tell him again right then.
Being honest, Joe. But when you're not being honest about what happened,
Yeah, those are the 2 options. You're a predator or you got a lapse of judgment.
I have to kind of, that leaves it up to me to choose which one of these I see you and believe in you in.
Now, he adjusts in his chair, Joe, because the detective's making him feel uncomfortable now. Now he's painting him as a predator and someone that, is in the movies. And if you notice, he's shaking his head like he's like listening to the guy like he's listening to his professional opinion. And he's trying to find his son, but he doesn't even realize what the detective's doing to him. He's manipulating him. And he's using the read technique like the hell out of it, giving him options. But there's 2. 1, you're a predator, or number 2, number 1, an accident happened, or number 2, you're a predator. You're either one.
No, it's 1, you killed him, and 2, you killed him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other option. Yeah. And he keeps saying and interrupts him, I didn't do anything. Yeah. So we're going to leave it at that tonight. We're going to kick it back off with the rest of the interrogation. But then, Joe, I'm going to come back and show you and the people exactly what Joe said happened, and it did. Believe it or not, I've got proof that exactly what he says is what he did. And if you don't believe me, you know it. You know I back up my shit every time. We vet everything. But yet the detective, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. How in the world could he be right? But I'm wrong. But yet we got him convicted, guilty of murder, killing this child, and this child is still missing. No one knows what's going on. And we'll get to the bottom of it, Joe. And then when it comes time and I go out there and I actually go search for him again and try and find him. And if I can, I will. But we will do a remote show while I'm out in Tennessee and you're here working the gadgets and everything. Maybe we can work something out to
better than you probably.
What?
Working the soundboard and all that.
Well, it's got a lot of little knobs that stick up, so you probably are better than I am.
Yep.
Yeah. But I won't, like I said, Joe's going to go through a lot more of this. And I'm going to try and explain anything and everything. Joe's going to go for the devil advocate side, and I'm going as the investigator side, and we're going to try and show you guys how things can work out and how it can happen. And Joe is pretty damn smart at things, believe it or not. I don't give him a lot of credit because, frankly, but you are a good dude, and you do know, you do play good devil's advocate. I will say that.
Well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anyway, you want to pray tonight? Or you want to keep going?
No, I can pray tonight.
Okay.
Take my hat off so everybody can see my bald spot and all that stuff.
Well, it's better than that Floby haircut.
The weed whacker. All right, bow your heads, no peeking. Lord, our Heavenly Father, we pray to you tonight specifically about this case, that some justice is done, and hopefully this boy is still alive, and if he's not, that he is able to be found, and some rest can be put for his soul. We pray for everybody that is going through anything like this, that their suffering will be over, and just basically justice. We also pray, we're 10 days away from Christmas. It's a holiday season. Pray for our Lord Jesus Christ and thank him for his birth. And we thank you again for having this kind of platform just to talk about things that people might not know about or be aware of or understand why it happens. We thank everybody that comes on and watches, and we appreciate every single one of you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And just know we're going to do a lot of these things, but this one's interesting because it's not solved yet, but it will be solved. And wonder what's going to happen, Joe. You think they will? How do you rectify this? How do you fix something you've already done? You have already prosecuted this person.
Well, obviously there's a amendment in the Constitution regarding double jeopardy, so you can't be tried twice for the same thing, but you can appeal, and I'm sure his lawyers are appealing.
I talked to him today.
So if he is indeed innocent of this crime, I hope that he is released. If he is not innocent, I hope he rots in jail. Because anybody that would do something like that to any child or anyone needs to rot in jail. But
by the time we get done with this episode,
but we don't know.
By the time we get done with this, see, I want you to be the Simon Cowell of the Dave and Joe show, the one everybody hates but loves to death.
Well,
if that makes sense.
I need to part my hair in the middle then.
And wear a t-shirt.
Yes.
But anyway, guys, we appreciate you watching. We love you, and stay tuned for number 2, and I'll announce that next day or so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.